So I'm on my team bonding call last night with my staff, and one of the staff is quoting Batman. You know, I think it's like Batman says to the butler, like, "Why do we fall?" And the butler says, "Well, so we can get back up again, master." Something like this. And we were talking about how we are such a stronger team, having gone through challenges, and we've built resilience, and we can trust each other more. And it's just so fucking epic. I love my staff so much. So I'm sitting out on the porch, and I'm wearing I got this little nightie thing as a gift when I used to work for Macy's Herald Square in New York City in the special events department, and I was engaged to get married. How old was I? 26? Anyways, I'm 53. This little Calvin Klein number is still thriving, except it's a little see-through. So I got my little cardigan on so that all the neighbors have minimal fun, not maximum entry into seeing all the bits and parts. But I feel really sexy on the front porch, a little naughty. And then I'm really excited. This is my new mug. Isn't it amazing? It is from the John Campbell Art School. This is where my girlfriend, whose house this is, taught her metalworking course. And I went to the gift store, and they had this whole wall of mugs. And I'm just like, I'm in Magic Mind heaven. I'm like, oh, which one do I want? So I had to hold them because it has to feel good. It has to taste good, feel good. So I'm just having this moment. I want you to know this Magic Mind recipe that I do. I use fresh grated ginger, but it's in a jar, so I don't have to do it fresh it's a lot of work to do it. But anyways, like fresh ginger, cinnamon, hot water, and the Magic Mind. And it's just like my happy place in the morning. It tastes ridiculously awesome, and it gives me this slow energy and focus every morning rather than go straight for the coffee, which I don't do anymore either. I do my rasa, but nonetheless, I want you to be able to have this. There's a code, it's in the show notes, intimate, and you get 50% off if you do a subscription, like monthly, or you get 20% off with a one-time if you just want to try it out. So I really encourage you to, because addiction is too strong a word, but like I really go straight for it every single morning, and I'm not really happy until I drink it. So that's that. Oh, and then lastly, I was so brave. What you're going to learn in this episode is what's been going on behind the scenes that I didn't even tell all of my clients until last night. So I had like group call, team bonding call. And I just told everybody what's been going on. And a little bit I cried, but I gotta say I mostly cried happy tears for how proud I am, and how proud I am of my staff to go through basically like a restructuring and a letting go of every structure, relationship, dynamic that I'd created based on, I'll be responsible for you, I'll overgive my money, overgive my energy, overgive my light, overgive until I fall. And then I'm so fucking stubborn, I just kept going and going and going, and let's just do everything I teach you not to do. Let's just do 10 more affirmations and keep going, until I couldn't keep going anymore and had to surrender. And I have a whole new embodiment of what surrender really is. It is not giving up. It is definitely giving over. It is definitely waving the flag and saying I give, but simultaneously listening and being willing to put one foot in front of the other and clean up my mess and recreate in a way that is in balance. I get to be honored first. I get to be full first. It's not everybody else first, it's me first. And then working through all of the self-worth issues about doing that. And then tasting and embodying this sense of alignment to be the sacred commander of my life, my business, and my world. And then to share that with the people who mean the most to me. My clients, my staff, they're my family. And for it to go well, for my vulnerability to be an inspiration to others, for my transparency to invite people to share what they've never shared, what we often consider the unspeakable, the things we're so ashamed about, but those are the anchors that hold us back. And when we're able to, willing to, and I create a safe space, impeccably safe space, to share this by going first, and then watching others tell the truth, and then be able to feel what they hadn't been feeling, they'd just been numbing out or avoiding, and they can feel it, and they can move through the other side and come back into that alignment, which is where truth is, which is where we can hear our highest self, which is where we can receive support from the universe. Not when we're scampering on that hamster wheel, but when we let go, when we surrender. Enjoy this transparent podcast. Thank you for being on this journey with me. I love you so much.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 11, Soul Medicine. Today we're talking about self-love, forgiveness, and finding your worth. I gotta say, I'm still kind of getting the hang of these solo episodes in Season 11. I get so friggin' excited. I want to get all dolled up and wear my sparkly stuff. And it's like we're having a date. I really love it. So let's dive into self-love. We talk about it a lot, but what the hell does it really mean? It is defined as regard for one's own well-being and happiness as a desirable characteristic, not like a narcissistic characteristic. I remember a time when I had zero self-love. It was my second marriage. I remember sitting at the kitchen table telling my husband at the time it was over. And my self-esteem was so low that I literally was letting myself be talked into that he wanted to keep the house that I bought. He wanted to keep the house that my mom's inheritance renovated. And I was believing him that I couldn't manage it, that I couldn't do it, that I should give it to him so he could live in it with our child. I literally was, hook, line, and sinker buying into this. I didn't do that. But what came as a result of standing in my power was, well, you all know my story, that 12-year custody battle. And so that low self-esteem even had found that relationship. I didn't want, in all honesty, my dad had somebody, my sister had somebody, my mom was dying, and I didn't. And I thought a man was a plan and a baby was a plan. And OMFG, did that ever backfire on me? And if we trail it all the way back, it was a lack of self-love, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of worthiness, needing to find my worth, my safety from the outside in. And safety I did not find because I wasn't feeling safe on the inside. Another definition of self-love is defined as a state of appreciation for oneself that grows from actions that support our physical, our psychological, and our spiritual growth, not sacrificing our well-being to please others. Oh my God, that's my whole life. Sacrificing body, energy, light, money, you name it, to make angry people calm the fuck down. And so, I even remember going on a student trip to the Mediterranean when I was 13. And my whole time I was there, having a great time, learning, growing, gallivanting around. All the shopping that I did, I had this checklist in my mind of everybody I needed to get a present for. Not once did it even dawn on me to get anything for me. I just had to make sure everybody else was taken care of, happy, so they wouldn't get upset. This is how I was wired. I remember getting home and showing my mom, I got this for her and this for you and this for, she's like, what did you get for yourself? And I was like, nothing. And she said, no, you need to keep something for yourself to remember your journey. And I remember just thinking, I just wanted to crawl out of my skin. It just made me feel so selfish, made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel like people were going to question me, well, who are you to have that? It was just so much safer to give everything away and barely be surviving on the dregs. And it was in my veins and in my blood from a very, very young age. And well, that was when I was 13 and I'm now 53. I've come a long way, baby, but I'm still a work in progress, to be really honest with you. But my self-love, I would say, is at an all-time high because for the past 20 years, I've been freaking doing the work. That's why the work works. And I've discovered that self-love isn't just, more confidence and feeling good about yourself and not giving your power away, which it is. It's also, if you ask me, inclusive of our wobbly parts, our personal struggles, like loving the part of us that has struggles, loving the part of us that feels wobbly about something, loving the part of us that has these very politically incorrect feelings and desires to chop people up and throw them to the sharks, right? Loving the part of us that we have self-perceived flaws or areas of weakness. Like, can we love those too? Accept those too, be an allowance of those parts of us too, not shove them away, certainly not criticize those parts of us. Like that to me is a huge part of self-love, because in my opinion, we never get there. There is no perfect. So we're always going to have half of ourselves like knocking it out of the park and the other part of ourselves like falling down flat on her face. And if we're always scampering for the parts that we think are so shiny and great, and we're knocking the shit out of the parts of us that are scared and sad and ashamed, or mad or whatever they are, if we can't love the whole gaggle, the whole gang, right? I don't believe we actually experience self-love. And so that's why I developed 10 Allana Pratt method processes over these years, combining everything I've learned from so many extraordinary teachers and ancient teachings, etc. There's one like Little You, there's one Theater of Redemption, there's one like the embodiment of you, like all of these come down. Like, can we embrace ourselves with compassion? Can we pour mercy into our heart, even though we failed a million times? Can we still open our hearts to ourselves with empathy and care and tenderness? And can we see through the eyes of, oh, all of these challenges were gifts to grow me, to evolve me. Nothing's ever been against me. This to me is the hallmark of true self-love that no one and no thing and no circumstance can take away, which is freedom, which is a sense of true empowerment. Many of you know the story of my amazing son and how I took the high road and allowed him to follow his choice to live, 100% with his dad when he was about 15. And my self-love at the time initially was quite low. I'm like, oh my God, I failed as a mother. If I was a better mother, he wouldn't have chosen this. What are people going to say? Will he ever call me again? And I remember going out to this cabin in the middle of nowhere when he made this choice to live with his dad. And I remember this sentence, very simple, but very profound. I read it over and over for the thoughts. I saw the situations in my mind for the images. I felt the emotions, the feelings of it really being true in my body, which took probably weeks, if not months, a lot of tears. And then the body sensations of all of those feelings, like integrating into an embodied sense of calmness. The simple statement of, even though, is at the beginning of the sentence, my son may never call me again, I love and appreciate myself. Every single horrible thing I could think of, I wrote down in the center. And at the beginning, even though, I love and accept myself. And we can't just have it be a thought. Sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone of shit doesn't work. But if we do have thoughts, images, emotions, body sensations, we have all of it, and we allow the discomfort to integrate and allow the body to return from all the trauma work that I've done, level 4, 3, 2, 1, still point. We can embody the calmness of come what may. I'm okay. I'm okay with me, regardless of what you think. And what you think is none of my business. That embodiment of self-love for me, thank God, is at an all-time high. I remember I'm actually recording this in North Carolina. I was sitting on the porch with my girlfriends just a couple days ago, and some things went down with one of them. And even though 95% of what went down was amazing, that 5% was really stinging. And one of my Allana Pratt method processes, I said, hey, want to go through process? So we're there, we're in the rocking chairs, and really what it comes down to is giving ourselves permission to love whatever comes up within ourselves, express and feel whatever comes up within ourselves, and hold nothing back, even though it might be politically correct, even though we know better, even though we think it's not spiritual, blah, blah, whatever. Feel it. And then once we've completely expressed what's inside, we haven't suppressed or resisted or avoided any of it, we've fully sat in the fire, then to look through the eyes of, what if I chose this myself for my own evolution? How could I be grateful? How could I appreciate? What's the lesson here? What's the message here? And truly embody the gratitude. Again, not just think or see, but also feel, and the body sensation all the way into, wow, if it had gone down any other way, I wouldn't have integrated all of this into my confidence, into my compassion, into my ability to speak up, into my ability to let go, whatever was the wisdom on the other side, the embodied wisdom. And so what a gift that these processes work, and I can offer them to my clients, to my friends, and I can solo process and take myself through these when I need to. And most recently, so grateful for still being a work in progress, but still being at an all-time high with my self-love, was my most recent relationship, which is so friggin' long ago. A year and a half ago, he was arrested for criminal assault. Court still hasn't happened. And literally at the pre-record of this, there's a hearing tomorrow. We'll see what happens. If he doesn't sign the plea deal, then we've got a jury trial. Lord knows when that's going to be. But it's so amazing to use these processes to walk my talk and to integrate everything. So court is not going to be, should I have to go to a jury trial, not going to be like it was before with the custody battle. I am so much more honest with myself, steadfast, certain, clear, grounded, embodied. I don't need to do anything. Justice will prevail. I just need to be me, be truth, and justice will take care of the rest. I've never been in a place like this, so untriggerable, that whatever bullshit the attorney wants to throw at me, this is not my first rodeo. So say whatever you want to say. There's nothing in me that defends or resists any of this. I know what went down, and justice will prevail. Wow. To think that I could stand before you, sit before you, do a podcast and not hide or shame myself or blame myself, and be able to keep my heart all the way open and be willing to walk through any fire, knowing that truth and justice will lead the way. Proud of myself. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. And so self-love has to do not with being selfish, me, or selfless, you, but really finding this middle ground. I love this term, self-firstness, not selfish or selfless, but self-firstness. I learned this from Andy San Pietro. She wrote a book called The 5D Human. And it's kind of like, if it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for we. And if we're full, home, whole, then we naturally want to do what's best for all. And so I, for so many decades, was not self-firstness. I was terrified if I did that, I would get abused. And so it was everybody else first, to my own detriment. And what's happened as a result of that old programming that I've healed through psychedelic somatic integration, and I've healed from all of my Allana Pratt method processes and working with various coaches to get to this place of self-firstness, I still had blind spots. I still had blind spots where I had created agreements, structures, my business, relationships. I'd still, from this way of putting everybody else first, slowly but surely, all the areas of my life that needed to be up-leveled, needed to be integrated, needed to be from self-less into self-firstness, they showed their face. And so many of you know I was living in Wyoming for the last year and a half. And then my landlord is a piece of work, or was a piece of work. But the last time he and this other gentleman came and they wanted me to support them in defrauding the federal government, I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. And they got really pushy. And that's not okay. I now have learned how to stand up for myself. So I called the sheriff, who told them they could create some other plans for their defrauding the federal government plan. But the next day, isn't it interesting that I got evicted illegally? And then about a week later, all of a sudden there's no water and no electricity. kind of illegal. And yet what was wild is it took me, I'd say about 10 minutes, kind of like shaking, kind of like, what am I going to do? The house was full of furniture. The hot tub hadn't been sold. My stuff wasn't packed up. No water, no electricity. The sun was going down. It was like 3:30. So I noticed that all of this integration work that I've been doing, healing my level 4 trauma, that hypervigilant looping where I wasn't even in my body. And I've come back over and over and over, so many different PSI series and extra sessions as well. Oh my God, I could stay in my body. I could call my staff. And within 12 hours, of which I slept about 6 of them, I was all packed up. The thrift store people came to take all my furniture. I sold the hot tub. My sweet cleaning lady left me a note, said, stop by the coffee shop where she worked. And she had a little cake for me, a little sandwich for me for my, getting on the road. And I was amazed. I executed calmly. I'm like, you cannot take my joy. You cannot take my centeredness. You cannot take my soul. I am so grateful for this level of self-forgiveness that has allowed self-worth and self-love, and that I can take action. I can ask for help. I can receive. And so not only did I get on the road in 12 hours, not only did I leave Wyoming with not a tear in my eye, more of a slap my ass looking out the rear view mirror, grateful for all my practitioners that helped me heal there over the last year and a half, I was able to receive what was next. Normally, if I didn't have self-love and I didn't have self-forgiveness, I didn't have self-worth, I couldn't receive because I wasn't worthy. I would push it away. I wouldn't even ask in the first place. Or I thought that receiving was somehow a manipulation, like a tit for tat. Like if you give me, then I need to give you. But this time I just listened to my heart and I called my friend and I said, I need help. This is what's happened. I'm camping out in my house with no water and electricity. I've got candles everywhere and a little bit of water in the sink and I'm doing a stand-up shower. May I come to your house while I rebuild my world? And she said yes. And I was able to receive that. And even once I arrived here, it took another week for me to really let it in that she cares about me, that I support her and she supports me. And we've been friends for over 25 years. And I need not shame myself. And I can forgive myself and I can love myself and I can receive her generosity so that I can be replenished and I can get back to truth within my heart and create better than ever. And so when I got here, my business was not in a good position. It was another one of those structures I'd put into place to put everybody else first. I had had some huge years financially. And I had, in those huge years of revenue, I also had huge expenditures. And I had taken on coaches' points of view and developed this app and all these things. And I was going to create a fleet of coaches and have hundreds of clients. And, it all made sense. And I didn't want to disappoint my coaches and my sales gal and all the rest of it when it really wasn't aligned with my truth. But I was spinning so fast, not in my body, just scampering to make another 100 grand here, another 100 grand here, and just keep this machine going until the universe was like, no, this is not aligned with your truth and you know it. And I didn't have the courage, didn't have enough self-forgiveness and enough self-worth and self-love to have those tough conversations until a rug was ripped right out from under me. And I had to face it and I had to feel it. And I had to have the hard conversations with my staff and my accountant and myself. And it was hard and I was scared. I was actually terrified that even my staff and my best colleagues only valued me because of what I could give them, not because of who I actually was. And while it was true that some people didn't value me, only what they could take from me, only if they could ride on my coattails, that's true. There were some of those, but most loved me no matter what. Most were in it for the long haul. Most were in it for the impact that our company makes. Most love me like family. And I was terrified that that wasn't the truth. And so as I had one tough conversation after another, as I restructured my business and rebuilt it and let go of a lot, and with what little was left, began to rebuild it again. It was being rebuilt on self-love. It was being rebuilt on self-worth. It was being rebuilt on what would delight me. not what would impress my coaches that I could accomplish. It was aligned with truth. And it's been amazing how quickly, within a month's period of time, how everything is being birthed, blossoming. And my coaching ability is skyrocketing because the deeper I go, the deeper I can hold my clients. And the more truth I can hear within myself, the more truth I can facilitate within my clients. And now that I have these new skills, psychedelic somatic integration work, and I can take my VIP clients through these incredible processes with the plant medicine, we can get so much farther, faster, that the new rebirthing of the business really has these PSI, psychedelic somatic integration VIPs at the forefront. And I'm so grateful, so on fire, so humbled, and so appreciative. Even right before I left Wyoming, I thought I was still going to leave a couple of weeks later. And I had an equine therapy appointment with my acupuncturist. And here's what I discovered that has to do with another piece of this self-worth and self-love and self-forgiveness. We were doing an exercise, pretty simple. Take a rope, hold it in one hand, and with the other, just swing it back and forth. Be grounded from above into my body, be grounded from below into my heart, into my solar plexus, and just let's move that rope back and forth. Pretty simple. It was until the dog started to come near and I pulled back. And she's like, whoa, do not apologize for your existence. It's the dog's job to get out of your way. It's not your job to be responsible for them. Oh my God. Even though I had done so much PSI work, even though I'd done so much integration, those were in sessions, in these series and these workshops and these retreats. But now that I was on the court, on the field with all the animals, the horses and the pigs and the dogs and my facilitator, I realized that it was still wired in my body that as soon as I showed up around another, I would go into selfless and put them first, be responsible for them. And so as we were practicing, we began walking through the fields. She started to get a little close to me and I pulled back again. She's like, stop. It's my job to get out of your way. Be willing to take up space. It was terrifying still for me. And then she started to practice being a perpetrator coming towards me. And she goes, don't hold me back with your rope. Push me back with your energy. Where is that back off energy exuding out of you? And I cried. It was terrifying because she was nice and I didn't want to hit her and I didn't want to be mean to her. But it was the greatest gift for me to learn that my energy, I don't have to apologize for breathing. I don't have to apologize to be honored and to be respected. And I pushed her back on this third try and she's like, okay, fine. Now you're ready to meet the horses. And so we went down to meet the horses and there was this ability to not have, they're big, this humongous, like she has like Clydesdale. She has these huge horses. She has these young ones that are kind of in your space and don't quite know the boundaries yet. And I found my way to, if it didn't work for me, what they were doing, I could push them back with my energy and they would step back. Or I could step back and push my energy and say, not okay. And the last piece was my heart. So I could be this, but I was still a little bit, snarky, a little bit boss bitch with the horses and the dogs and my equine therapist. And so she's like, let's sit down on the hill here. What's going on with your heart? And this was right when I was looking into the tough questions around money. Did I need to declare bankruptcy? Did I need to do debt consolidation or settlement? Like I was in a mess financially and I was moving. I didn't know where I was going to move yet. I hadn't asked my friend yet if I could move in with her for a few months. So I was feeling a lot of self-loathing and shame. And so we sat there on the grass overlooking her beautiful 20 acres. And she said, what does your heart need? And I said, it needs mercy. It needs so much forgiveness that I've given it my best, but I've done so much of my life creating structures and agreements and relationships around this level 4 trauma wound, hypervigilantly looking for the next abuser to survive, giving away my power, my energy, my light, my money, my body. I need mercy. She's like, well, then pour it into your heart. Take your time. And I cried and I cried. And I noticed as I did so, the horses allowed themselves to get closer so they could feel my boundaries of what worked for me and what didn't. And they could feel my heart of mercy filled with self-love. And she said, stand up and exude your heart of mercy. You are the queen of mercy. That sweet spot between boundaries and heart openness. And we did more interactions with the horses. And I felt home. I felt the most self-love, no matter who liked me, who didn't, who wanted to work with me, who didn't, who wanted to date me, who didn't, no matter when, or even if my son ever called again, or whether I ever owned my own house again, all the things that I had gauged as you're worthy if, none of them mattered. I was home and my energy just spanned for miles and miles on the top of that mountain. And so as we talk about self-worth here, I'm allowed to take up space. Check in with your own body when you're around people, when you go to a networking event, when you go on a date, when you sit around with your lover, with your friends. Do you allow yourself to simply be and take up space and know where what works for you and what doesn't? Is your heart open and filled with self-forgiveness so that self-worth can blossom, self-love can radiate in, as, and through you? Well, now that I'm here at my girlfriend's house in North Carolina, I gave myself the gift of about a month sabbatical, where I just told my staff I need to restructure. And I have sat on that porch in that rocking chair, night after night, day after day. I've gone paddle boarding. I've seen, the beautiful bald eagles and those little cute little ducklings that came up and said hi. I've given myself the gift of slowing down to listen. And now in my life, only who values me gets to stay. And I'm not in relationships anymore of what I can be taken advantage of, or they can use me, or what can I give them. None of those relationships remain anymore. Only those who are willing to step up from wholeness and meet me in wholeness, each of us in 100% ownership, only those relationships remain with my staff, with my colleagues, with my friends. And so self-love means I'm focusing on what matters. And that is now at the forefront. No agendas, no strategies, no manipulation, just getting completely out of the way. I've ditched the coaches, I've ditched the colleagues who are just using me for their own agenda. And I've embraced and gone deeper, doubled down with those coaches and colleagues and staff and friends who are there to support me in the face of anything, and who are committed to being their best self and there to helping me awaken into my best self. Self-love means it's time for me to not just do VIPs with my clients, but PSI, psychedelic somatic integration VIPs with my clients. Oh my God, the breakthroughs that I am able to facilitate through all of the 20 years of spaciousness and depth, and being able to dive into anything that arises and facilitate them coming home to the light, to presence, to connection with their truth, to their multidimensional wisdom. It is nothing short of breathtaking. Self-love means it's also time for love. I can't believe I agreed to this, but one of my clients in one of my intimacy breakthrough journey groups, she's like, will you join me and go online dating, or just be open to doing 15 dates? And I said yes. So I was quite flirtatious in the grocery store the other day, and I'm going to go online dating. We'll see how it goes, but I'm willing to show up. I'm willing to show up for love. I'm unwilling to do life alone anymore. Self-love also means it's time for the docuseries. It's time for the show. It's time to have a vehicle where I can travel and see my beloved clients who I love so much, who some of them have been with me for like a decade, but I've never friggin' hugged them. And I'm going to, and I'm not going to let go anytime soon. And I'm going to be able to see, my valued colleagues and learn from new people and share my own personal journey vulnerably, and invite us all to dissolve taboos and embrace our full self-expression without apology. My God, it's going to be a buckload of delicious fun. Self-love also means it's time for delicious growth. I am so unwilling to come this far, sit in this many fires, go through this much darkness to the light without having more joy, more erotic joy, more beauty, more abundance, more travel, more rapturous connection with the divine. Self-love for me means my capacity to receive by simply being me. No needing to prove anything, no needing to accomplish or achieve anything more, to receive miracles, magic, to receive God in, as, and through me. Self-love literally means surrendering my entire life to God, to the divine. Have your way with me. No more me pushing, trying to figure it out, trying to make it happen. I am humbled, humbled, humbled to my knees. I give. I am learning to follow my knowing, to follow the whispers from the divine, to trust that exactly what is here is divine will, and to open wide and receive it without much resistance, and to fully receive exactly what is richly, the smallest things, to let them delight me, like the fireflies around here, and even the moist air, which is so different than the dry air of Wyoming, to allow my hair to be frizzy and crazy, and to savor exactly where I am. And just as I was saying a few days ago, sitting on the porch, supporting my girlfriend processing some unintegrated emotions, she also provided an amazing gift to me. She told me that her father started their very successful family business when he was 52. And so even though right now everything seems to be falling apart, it's also falling back together. I'm 53. What if now is actually the beginning of the most nourishing, balanced, harmonious, joyful success of my life? Another girlfriend I had told me that her boyfriend's mom started her multi-million-dollar business when she was 53. I'm 53. And so to forgive myself and be kind to myself and be tender with myself, of like, what new iteration of my business could be more joyfully successful, and my own definition of success being nourished, balanced, connected, intimate joy. What if that is what I'm about to begin? I have lots of time. I am so proud of what I've cultivated in my boutique coaching business, where clients blossom. They fall in love. They become the one, and they find the one themselves. They fall in love with themselves. They fall in love with life. And from time to time, they fall in love with one another, which is really delicious and fun. It sort of feels like I'm in a sports car, you know, like when you're in fifth gear and you're really rocking it. But some sports cars, like they have sixth gear. And so you like shift into six and you're going even faster, but with so much more grace and ease and flow. I feel so innocent, like I'm just getting started in a new dimension. I'm really honing my capacity with this psychedelic somatic integration work to be with those people who are super successful, but they're caught on that treadmill that frankly I was caught on, you know, running on empty, over giving, but under nourishing, not healthy boundaries, not even in their bodies often, and still repelling the love and intimacy and connection they know is possible in the relationship that they have, the marriage that they have, or they're still single. And they might even be still saying 3 a.m. in the morning, what's wrong with me? Those are my ideal clients. In fact, I just finished a session with an extraordinary man right before this pre-record. He's an entrepreneur, he's a coach, he's so amazing. But we started the session with him being triggered, you know, the fear of being smothered, the fear of being taken advantage of, the fear of opening up and letting go and just being free in this new relationship he is navigating. And by the end of our session, he could trust himself from a new place. It wasn't that hypervigilant trying to manage and figure shit out, trust himself. No, it was deep down. It was actually deep down in his balls. I could feel it, even though I don't have balls. I could feel it buzzing down in my genitals. This place where there was depth and certainty and knowing, this steadfast certainty, a place from which he can know what he knows. He doesn't have to figure shit out. He doesn't have to have a plan all the time. He can speak up. He can know what he knows, and he can navigate and lead this relationship from that place. It was epic. I'm so excited to hear what unfolds next. So if this is, I want to learn more about this, I want you to go to my link, allanapratt.com/VIP. Look in the show notes, because I'm going to put in a scholarship, an Intimate Conversations podcast scholarship, so that you can have a discount on that call, so that we can connect. We can pull back the veil. We can see what this blind spot really is. I will show you. I can see mine. You can't see yours, but I can see yours. And my coaches can see mine. We're going to see what's really going on, what this next level of integration is, so that you can get off the hamster wheel, get back in your body, have this deep level of self-love where you can trust yourself. You can feel at peace in your skin. You can live without apology and take up space. You can live with your heart open. You can follow your heart's truth, because I believe that is what freedom truly is. That is what you are here on the planet to be and give and inspire others. And this together, as we all be this, do this, give this, receive this, I believe this is what humanity is calling for. So thank you for being on this journey with me, receiving my vulnerable truths around self-forgiveness that awakens self-worth, so we can be the embodiment of self-love exactly as we are and exactly as we're not, and show up without apology. Yeah. Let's all take a breath together and feel what that feels like in our bodies. Thank you for being with me week after week. I will see you next week. And thank you for the honor and the privilege and the delight of loving the shit out of you. See you next week.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
You know, I think a sign of spiritual maturity is when we can be absolutely transparent and tell the truth and be vulnerable. Oh, a package is here. Okay, well, we're going to go check the mail anyways. And keep our hearts open and not judge and be there for one another. So thank you for watching that vulnerable podcast. And last night I had 2 group sessions and a team bonding call with my staff. And I told all my clients of what has been going down this past month. And I cried a little bit, both feeling the intensity of it all, but also happy tears for how far I've come. And what was amazing was when I'm willing to be vulnerable, I create a safe space for others to be vulnerable. And people shared that they were going through the very same situation. Are they going to choose bankruptcy or debt consolidation? Some people revealed that they are full-fledged adults, and yet their parents are still paying for their existence. Other ones shared of when they went through a divorce, they couldn't keep it together and they moved back in with their parents and their children. Like, there was a variety of people and stories that had been stuffed in shame and in hiding, eating away at their life force energy to create something new, because they had so much energy to push away and avoid those feelings, those stories, and anyone finding out. Well, we all came clean. And it was freeing and it was amazing. And the connection deepened in the group. And by the time I got to my team bonding call later in the evening, I said to them, you know, what is the greatest gift that we've been through this wobbly, intense month together? And they said, oh my God, I'm so much more resilient. I have so much more trust in you, Allana, by telling the truth and your willingness not to give up and restructure and do what you need to do. I feel like a deeper connection and commitment to the team. And then I said, how did it support you personally in your own lives? And they said, oh my God, I was able to have deeper conversations with my spouse or my boyfriend, my girlfriend, etc. And we talked about hard things that we normally don't talk about, because we were going through this as a team. And then, and I said, and so what's possible now that's never been possible before in our company? And they were just so creative and open to things they've never been open to before. And we were joking, like, what is Rihanna worth? Like $1 billion or whatever she's worth? Oh, more goodies. Yep. because she has like a makeup line, and I'm like, well, I really like glittery eyeshadow. Maybe we should do something there. So we just had a really good time being, oh my goodness, what is all these packages? Hang on, I got all these packages here. That's it. And so we started to think outside the box because we've been through this together. They were quoting Batman with, why do we fall so that we can get back up? My team is becoming my inspiration. And I'm like, do you guys want to coach now? Because you're doing a really good job of coaching me. So isn't it wild how the very worst can bring out the very best in you? If we're willing to feel our feelings, integrate our wounds, be brave, tell the truth, be vulnerable, show up, and go through the hard times together, it's an even closer connection. So if this podcast and these little shares from me have made you go, you know what? I'm done trying to stuff away the shame. I'm done hiding. I choose a partner to resolve all this with and help me move through from surviving to thriving, from heartbreak to, as we like to say around here, heart mate. You just want to be free and unapologetic. Literally live without apology for being who you are and have that sense of freedom and liberation, personally, professionally, whatever. Let's connect. Yeah? AllanaPratt.com/connect. Or if you're interested in my PSI VIP journeys, AllanaPratt.com/VIP. Let's slow down. Let's feel and let's resolve whatever's going on. There's nothing wrong. It's just the next step in your beautiful spiritual evolution. And it would be my honor and privilege to walk with you. So I'll see you next week on Intimate Conversations. I love ya.